This episode of the Pu'u Muay Thai podcast is brought to you by pmtlifestyle.com, authentic Muay Thai lifestyle by Pu'u. Definitely go check out the website at pmtlifestyle.com for some awesome lifestyle merchandise. That's for those of you out there either involved in Muay Thai, looking at getting involved in Muay Thai, and embrace a healthier lifestyle to live the life of a Nok Muay. Go check it out.
Okay, so we have Erin Clayton in today on the podcast. So, Erin, I'm glad we were able to finally make this happen.
Yes, me too. Sorry, my schedule and your schedule, pretty nuts.
Yeah. So, kind of explain, what do you do? What's your day job?
So I am, my technical title is Manager Data Ops. I basically manage a bunch of data analysts at a local tech company, Carpe Data. It's like an insure tech company. And so, yeah, I've just been in data for a couple of years now. My day job is, it's cool. I like it. And I like managing people and like leading a team. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I can see that characteristic in you too. So that kind of shows into, your involvement in Muay Thai. So you are an active competitor. How long have you been doing Muay Thai for?
I'm pretty sure I'm on my, I think I just finished up my started my 7th year. I kind of forget at this point, but yeah, I started when I was 22, around this time when I was like 22. Yeah. I'm 29 now.
Perfect. Well, it's a good age to be involved in Muay Thai, kind of on the path of what you're taking right now. So how did you get started in Muay Thai? What got you started?
So I had just graduated college. My boyfriend at the time, now husband, was, he was a personal trainer and he had got me into some weightlifting stuff. And I was like, this is cool getting strong, but I'm used to playing soccer my whole life and kind of pushing my limits in a way where it's competing with other people, I don't know. And he's like, well, you like kicking stuff. You should try Muay Thai. And I just went to UCLA because I was an alumni and had a good discount. And they actually have a really good martial arts program, but it was twice a week, very casual. And I did that for about a year. And then some of the other students there introduced me to the Thai Boxing Institute in Los Angeles, which with Victor Acosta. And so that's where, that's how I then moved away from, kind of just recreationally doing it to getting really into it as soon as I went over to TBI.
Yeah. So TBI, not to be confused with traumatic brain injury.
No, they go hand in hand.
Yeah. You learn how to cause that there potentially, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You ended up moving from the LA area up to, you live in Carpinteria now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You and your husband, Kyle, who are awesome people in the community. And what is Kyle doing now?
Kyle moved away from personal training, and he's actually working on another local tech company. They just got bought by some big company back in May, I think. Daily Ohm. They have online courses and stuff. A lot of it's focused around wellness and yoga and things that actually aren't totally Kyle's interest, but he's good at his job and they like him. So
very personable dude for sure.
Yeah.
So, kind of going into Muay Thai, when you first started, was it kind of always the idea that you might compete? It sounded like that might have been the case. Hey, I want to do some competition, or?
I think it was actually really, I had no desire to compete when I started. It was more just the idea of I was in a room with other people trying to get better. And I don't know, I think the thing with strength training is I was just doing that on my own and wasn't really it was just too individual. When you're in a class and you're pushing someone else and your partner and they're pushing you too, I think that was the part that I missed. Honestly, competing was not anywhere on my radar. Kyle reminded me that when I went to my first fight, a year in. I think it was at the Commerce Casino. It was like a WCK card. I told him, I was like, oh my God, I can't even fathom what that'd be like walking out to the ring and having to fight. Like, I would never, ever do that.
That's fun. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had similar words of that when I was younger too.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It's like, I can never, you'll never catch me dead doing that. And it's like,
yeah.
Oh, right, here you are, right?
Yeah. Was your first fight also seeing like a WCK card in LA?
No. Oh, well, one of the first fights that I went to, well, just like smokers, honestly. That was the first ones I saw. So they're still doing like smokers at Crew X's gym down in Van Nuys. And they had like the Thai New Year Songkran Festival. And then it was at Hollywood Park Casino. It was like my first like in-person sanctioned event that I saw. And like Joe Schilling and stuff like that was fighting on it, and like Malipet, Sussy Papa was fighting on there. So it was like, what they're like, oh yeah, that's dope. But I'd already been training for a couple years by that point, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So we're a little bit more outside of like LA, so it was harder to see that kind of stuff, and weren't really involved in that scene, unfortunately. It took a while.
Yeah. Did you start up in Ventura, Santa Barbara area before you went down to LA?
Yeah. So I started at Oxnard, at an MMA place, and went to Thailand. And I learned real quick that I didn't know shit about clinching, and I didn't know shit about Muay Thai. And it was like, I was like, man, I need a Thai trainer. And, you couldn't really get any opportunities up here in Ventura, Santa Barbara. Like the people we were training with were trying, but they had connections in MMA, but they didn't have connections in Muay Thai. And they were talking to somebody. It's funny. I ended up seeing the email years later. They were talking to these promoters who eventually did get into promoting. It was the people that partnered up with and started IFS.
Oh, cool.
But it was like, I don't know, if like 4 years or 3 or 4 years before they actually started IFS. So it was I would have sat there for 3 or 4 years waiting for potential opportunity. So definitely
hard.
wasn't. Yeah. So I actually almost quit 2 years in.
Whoa. No way. Why?
Yeah, no opportunities.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No opportunities, and just burnt out. Went to Thailand, fought there, and I was like, crap, dude, there's nothing over here. I can't do this here. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just work and try to figure out if I can go back to Thailand or just move on to something else.
Yeah.
And I thought I was like, I learned everything I could with the resources I had, but that's when I ended up going down to meeting knockweed and stuff too. So,
Dang.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So that's why it's awesome to have people like you come through the doors and stuff like that too, training, and have like a Muay Thai academy up here in Ventura and Santa Barbara that we can call home, and people don't have to like be stuck in the boonies, like, oh, what am I going to do? And like, we didn't have YouTube and shit like that. Like when you first started, there wasn't as much stuff on YouTube, right?
Yeah. And like, how do you even find, if there's any like Thai trainers or anything without just like, I mean, that must've been tough.
Well, you see the referee at Thai New Year, and you ask him, hey, how do I get into fights? And then they laugh at you and tell you to come to their gym. That's how that happens.
Oh, that works.
And then they laugh at you again when they see you shadowbox. You're like, crap, I suck.
Yeah, and you're like, I definitely been in an MMA gym for too long.
Yeah, which is fine. It's just that's what we had, So
yeah.
It's nice to be able to bring that back around full circle, I guess you could say. So going into your training experience and stuff, how long were you training before you had your first competition?
I think it was about 2.5 years, maybe. So I waited a while. I mean, I guess that's including my like kind of half-ass year at UCLA. Yeah, it was. I really just saw like my friend Jeannie fighting at the time, and I was just her like punching bag for her first. Or sorry, it wasn't her first fight. My bad. It was like her fourth fight, and when I was her punching bag, I was like, man, well, maybe I can do it, and she's like fights at 112 pounds. And I don't know what I was thinking, being like, oh, this small girl beats me up and I should be fine if I get in the ring. I mean, obviously ended up being fine. I won my first fight, but yeah, that was my thought process.
It's crazy. Jeannie fought like minimum weight, didn't she?
Now, so she was fighting at 112 for a while, and then like, now she's at 105. But
Damn.
yeah,
Well,
crazy.
not quite minimum weight. It's right the one weight class above, I think, of minimum weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she at like TBAs this past summer was gonna do 112, and then a bunch of opponents fell out. So yeah, she had to make 102, and yeah, she did it. It was honestly like it was so gnarly. Could not even imagine having to do it, but she
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's she looked pretty sucked in. I was like, God damn, you just look like a head with like skin and bones and muscle.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how she managed it, but she did it. So once she hit 102, she was like, oh, I guess I can just hit 105 real easy. And then she went with it. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, kind of going into for your competition and stuff like that, where was your first competition at?
My first fight was a WCK card. I was the like first fight of the night, and they're running an hour behind, so you're just like getting so freaked out.
Was this Burbank? Where was that?
Yeah, I was in Burbank.
Okay.
It was like October 2017. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. So October 2017. Damn. Yeah, that wasn't that for me. Again, it's just like it doesn't seem that long ago. Like to see where you've accomplished in that time. So then you have that, and then how many more fights did you have before you moved to Carpinteria?
I only had like 2 more fights. So it was like 6 months later, I did like USMTO and was fighting in the C class division, and then I won those. And then I was like very heartbroken that, we had thought about it for over a year. Like, okay, we're going to move back to Carpinteria or Santa Barbara area. Like, we can't live in LA. You've lived in LA. It's just,
when we grew up in this area and you're in LA, you're like, this isn't right.
Yeah, you're like, this is the worst. Like, I mean, there's parts of me that love Los Angeles, and then I just like thought long term. I was like, I don't want to raise children here. So
not even just that. You can always. What's great is not being from Los Angeles is you can always leave it. Whereas if you live there, it's like, hey, I'm going back home to Los Angeles.
Exactly.
No hate to Los Angeles, like you said. There's some great people, all that stuff. It's not my vibe of like growing up in it. When you grow up in a small beach town.
Yeah, exactly. When you grow up in a small beach town where you got to like at 7 years old walk to school, be completely safe, like it was just like, it's so safe being here. Not that LA and like where I lived in LA wasn't necessarily safe. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, we were thinking long term, like where we want to be. And my family, it's either that or, Kyle's family in Louisiana. And I love Louisiana, but I do not want to live in Louisiana. So.
Damn. Yeah. I think you would be in a much different place if you guys moved to Louisiana.
Yes, definitely. So very happy we picked here. Yeah.
And Kyle would probably be extra like 40, 50 pounds too.
Yes. If he could. I don't even know if he could gain that much weight.
Like 5 pounds and it'd look like 50.
Yeah. He'd probably be eating like, he probably eats like 4,000 calories a day. He'd probably be up to like 6,000 a day.
Yeah.
Fatter. Yeah.
Just a little bit extra pudge. Oh man, that's hilarious. So, and then like when you were moving up to the area, you stopped by my gym with some of your friends from TBI in Ventura, and you started training with Tyson over at Paragon Goleta, right?
Yeah, Goleta and Santa Barbara locations.
Santa Barbara,
yeah. I started training at Paragon, and I don't know, some part of me was like, do I ever want to try MMA? And I think I kind of started there being like, I'm always going to leave the opportunity open because there's so much good jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I'll ever have an MMA fight. I love watching MMA. I don't think I really have an interest in fighting it.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're like fighting, like you're pursuing fighting strictly professional to make money, like that, it doesn't really make sense, right? Look at Rod Tang versus Demetrius Johnson's happened tonight. So for those that don't know, it's actually March 25th, 2022. And I think the fight card starts at like 10 p.m. our time.
Yeah.
And the main card doesn't start until like 5 a.m.
I'm getting up early to watch it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got the pay-per-view on lock. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, same.
So
yeah, so I met Tyson, and yeah, I had like already, looked up some of the instructors, and I saw like he had trained at the pit up in Atascadero for a long time, and that's where like Chuck Liddell is very old school, but like Chuck Liddell, Tim Kennedy, other big UFC veterans had trained there, and he kind of like trained after them, got to train with them a bit. So I didn't like seek out Tyson by any means, but definitely when I got there, I knew who he was. And then it was funny because he was, how nice Tyson is and like how friendly he is to people. And he like makes friends with everyone. Coming from LA, like I'm so used to people meeting me, and you just like meet people and like you always feel like people want something out of you,
Yeah,
so
this
like,
guy being nice to me.
Yeah, exactly. I literally was like, why is this person being nice to me? Like, I don't understand. This is like just weird. Like, I don't want to, like, what is he trying to get out of this? And then it took me a couple months and I was like, oh, he's just like trying to be my friend. Okay.
He's just trying to make me fit in. Oh God, who would have thought, right?
I know.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so then trained with him for a few years, and got a couple more fights in. And then, as you know, he left back in August.
Yeah. Well, I remember like seeing you guys at US Muay Thai Open in the ring. I was like, Red Blue Comedian, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, my one fight that I lost, I can't, like, I still think about that fight, and it's always a reminder of like, don't ever get in that fucking headspace again. Like,
what headspace?
I could have won that fight, and because I had pretty much dominated opponents fairly easily prior to that. This is only like my fourth fight, so really just still very new. But I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna walk through this girl, and as soon as she like gave me anything that was a challenge, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? And I just kind of like panicked on the inside about it. And so then after that, I was like, you gotta just fucking fight. Like, it does not fucking matter if you're gonna win or lose. Just literally go out there and fight the person. You know what to do. Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that kind of goes into, so you had recent opportunity to fight in the first tournament was kind of the United States, was the World Games Qualifiers for USA Muay Thai. And so I talked about it a bit here, but I want to hear from you. What was unique about this tournament?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are unique, but the
What
biggest
about for
one.
you?
Oh, for me. Yeah, the biggest one is like fighting, it's pros and amateurs fighting together. And I got to fight a pro. So that was very cool. There are all other things like slightly different rule sets, 3-minute rounds. Knees to the face are allowed. That was something. I don't, I think I saw one woman do it. It was very uncommon in the women's fight, but seeing some of the men throw it out there was really, really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's a game changer, for how you change it. Like what it changes the dynamic of clinching and where the positions people put themselves in.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
100%. Yeah, so that was very interesting to see too. And the pros were already like used to it, so they were the ones who were very comfortable. Like some of those flying knees that I saw were just beautiful.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, some of the best knees to the head from the clinch I saw was from an amateur. He's the one that fought Travis, that guy Dwangse from Chonburi Muay Thai.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was one of the people I saw that used his knee in the clinch to the head effectively. He was turning people's head to the side and knee him off the side, cool. Over the shoulder, kind of stuff. And I didn't see really anybody else doing that kind of stuff inside there. I saw straight up the middle, but stuff from the side, I wasn't seeing a lot of that.
Yeah, I didn't see too much of that, like coming from the clinch and doing like the knee from the side very much to the head. I just saw ones that were more like flashy.
The jump knees. Yeah, they're easy to spot. I had like the best view. I'm like right there,
Oh, true. Yeah, you had that. Yeah, you had like the judge's view.
Yeah. So Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I know it was in Denver, Colorado.
Mhm.
So, and you guys are wearing shin pads, headgear, elbow pad, gloves.
Mhm.
And what were some of the different rules? Like, obviously, it needs the head, but they also is like allowed strikes to the back of the head and stuff like that too, right? And 12-6 elbows.
Yeah, yeah. And the 12-6 elbows at least are usually allowed in, I think, most tournaments I've done where
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember with TBAs to be honest, but I know at
Allowed,
least
yeah.
yeah, in Arizona it's allowed, so
Mm.
that was fine. The to the back of the head, yeah, I wasn't super worried about that.
Mm.
Um, but I also knew I wasn't fighting a clincher, so I think that was also part of it. I wasn't like, oh, she's gonna like get my back and like elbow me in the back of the head or anything like that,
Yeah.
or do spin back fist. I think that was the thing is I knew the girls in my division didn't do that stuff, so I wasn't like too concerned. But I could see
Mm.
for other divisions that being a concern. Yeah.
It almost there was the one I forget who the fighter was, but he fought that guy Austin Amell, and he almost knocked him out with a
Oh
punch to the
yeah,
back of the head.
yeah, that was gnarly.
Yeah, it was like at the very end of the fight too.
Yeah, yeah. Was
It's
that
like, wait,
the
what?
championship round or the championship fight with
No,
the?
oh no, that's semifinals.
Oh, okay. Gosh, what
Yeah,
was
so
that?
he came out there like thinking he was gonna walk through him and like really had like that mindset like I'm gonna finish this fast, but it dragged on
Yeah.
all 3 rounds, and the kid ended up catching him with like an overhand punch. It landed him right in the back of the head.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That fight was super close,
Yeah,
wasn't
it
it?
was. It was
Yeah.
competitive. It was
Yeah.
competitive. I wouldn't say it was close,
Close.
but the other
Okay.
kid definitely was there to fight and was not there to get walked over.
Yeah.
So that was super entertaining. Good Muay Thai to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and then for you coming up into your match,
Hmm.
you had in the semifinals,
Hmm.
you got a match with Angela Whitley, who's a
Yeah.
well-known professional fighter in women's Muay Thai, which is awesome. I've seen her fight and develop a lot too. So, uh, what was kind of your game plan knowing that you got seeded against her?
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely got kind of nervous once. I mean, it's
Mm.
always like when the tournament's far enough out, you're sort of just like, okay, like I don't know how to explain it. You're training for it, you're visualizing it, all that, and then like once the tournament starts and the division, like the fights get drawn, and then you see your name next to who you're gonna fight. I don't know
Yeah,
if you got this, but you just get like a little drop in your stomach, and you're like, okay, now it's real.
like that.
Um,
That's their name. We're fighting.
yeah, I am fighting this person.
Yeah.
Um, Luckily, like I knew she was on the USA team, so it wasn't like it's like I always knew in my mind I'd probably end up fighting her if I was gonna make it through the tournament.
Mm,
So the plan was to clinch her.
mm,
Um, she's got good hands. She does have a really good cross. So and I found that out in the ring too.
yeah.
But yeah, so we just knew her striking was decent. So, but her, you know, a place we could dominate was a clinch. So
Yeah.
that was the plan. Clinch her up
Mm,
near. I've always been a fan of knees. Period. I tend to
yeah.
do longer knees, but
Uh,
um, yeah. I mean, just near in the clinch.
So
And
you're
yeah,
she's a little bit taller than you, yeah.
yeah, she was. But I think with the way that she kind of like stands,
Mm,
it almost was just like she was the same height as me. She's only like an
okay.
inch or two taller. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it didn't
Not too
feel,
big. Yeah, not too
yeah.
big of like a height difference.
No, I thought going in because I think she said she's like 5'9" or something. I was like, oh
Uh,
shit, she's gonna be like feel way taller than me. But then when I was in there, I was like, oh, this is fine. She really actually is the first opponent that I've ever fought that was technically taller than me.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought too. When you were fighting, I'm like, I think this is like the first time. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. And it's only tall ass opponents from here. Like, I think,
Yep.
yeah, because I'm like most of the time it's been girls my height or shorter, but I've
Mm.
seen some of these international fighters, even girls Angela Whitley's fought, and like I've seen like some 6 foot tall girls, and I'm like, all right, whew, we'll just figure it out.
Yeah, you just go with it, you know.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got. Yeah, I mean, your husband's is pretty freaking tall. So
Yeah,
I don't think girls get much taller than that. So you can always just, get the clothes on, crack him a few to get the practice in. And he's good at using his length too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
kind of, so you ended up going through clinch, implementing your game plan. There were some other factors that were definitely involved in like preparation for this tournament because Denver, it's known as the Mile High City, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we were definitely aware elevation's going to change how we're going to fight. So we went out like a week and a half early, so like the Sunday before, like 2 Sundays before the tournament technically started. And it was me, Victor Acosta, Jeannie, and our other teammate Jade, who was starting her fight camp. So she was like, and she fights at like anywhere from like 107 down to 99 pounds. So she is not my training partner, like for sparring or anything. She held pads for me, and which was so nice of her because she is so much taller than me. I'm sure you've had this before, where small people hold for you, and you're like, "I'm sorry."
It's like I thank you for pretending you aren't freaked out by me banging my shin into your arms because it freaked me out.
Yeah. It's like when I hold pads for Kyle, I think you've seen me. I'm just like, God, this sucks. Like your forearms are hurting and everything. So, yeah, Jade was super helpful. So yeah, we went out there a week early, week and a half early, and just had to acclimate. And it did take a couple days. It wasn't so much like, it wasn't like you felt like your conditioning was bad. It was more like you felt like you sucked a lot of helium, like, and but it went away after a couple days. So my runs were kind of shitty the first few days, but then by the Sunday before the tournament, I was like back at my like standard running pace, and I was like, okay, we'll probably be fine. Yeah.
Damn. Good. Yeah. And so I obviously, coming from like sea level here in Santa Barbara, Santa Monica, Harper Maria, you planned ahead of time knowing that it was going to be up at elevation. And I guess you saw some of that play out in the ring for your match, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know when Angela Whitley got there, but I think I talked to one of her corners like the next day, and they think they only got in there like the Sunday before or something like that. Oof. But yeah, but a lot of the teams did, so it wasn't just her. I mean, I'm sure you saw that like all over those fights.
You know what's funny though, and Michael Corley was saying this. He's like, this is great because everybody's gonna think, oh man, these Americans are slow, not realizing we're all at elevation.
Yeah, that's actually smart. Yeah, I know it was. It was hard to say with some of the fighters that I saw. Like, I'm like, is it elevation? Is it a weight cut? Because I know some of those men were cutting a lot of weight. Like not necessarily like a lot of weight that day, but some of them were like staying close to a fighting weight that they normally cut, like 10 pounds of water the day before or something. So some of those fights, it was kind of interesting to see. But yeah, so I know Angela definitely got affected by the elevation in our fight.
Yeah, there's no doubt like that was a factor. So just taking that a little bit extra time might have been the thing that helped you, really solidify that too, so that way you had the conditioning to be able to push through and continue clinching and stuff like that also. So you came into the next day and who were you supposed to fight?
I was supposed to fight Jocelyn Breland from Boxing Works, also another Los Angeles fighter. Yeah.
So, but she missed weight the morning of, so you had automatic bye through the finals by walkover. Is that correct?
Yeah. Technically won the finals by walkover, so it was a little, a little anticlimactic, but like mixed feelings. At least I guess the good thing is I fought Angela, which was really like what I wanted to, prove like, okay, I can be on this team, I did just want to fight Jocelyn, and we talked later and everything, and like we'll probably fight eventually. We're near the same weight class. I fight at 140 normally, but I also don't like cut so much. Like I probably could fight like 135 pretty easily, anything like that. But I know she's a little bit bigger, so yeah. So we'll probably fight eventually, but I do know that she's bigger than me for sure. Yeah.
Well, kind of going into that, I'm just gonna say it. You have one of our old trainers that's on our team now.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. I saw I think I saw some pictures of Crew Ed training her back in the day or something.
Yeah, she started at Muay Thai School USA.
Cool. That's so funny. Yeah. I mean, that's that's what I like about Muay Thai though, is generally, especially in the Los Angeles area, it's you have probably trained with someone who trained the person you're gonna fight, used to train with the person you're gonna fight,
Yeah, for sure.
Even,
it's small.
Yeah, even Dean, he's gonna fight someone from Corona who I've trained with a couple times too, and I've trained with both of them. So
who's Dean fighting?
Daniel, I forget his last
name.
Yeah.
Daniel Gonzalez.
Yeah, JoJo's fiance.
I don't know if it's Gonzalez, but no, I'm pretty sure it is. I might be wrong. Yeah, Gonzalez. No, he's gonna do great.
Yeah, and I think he has more MMA experience, but I'm you'll be fine. I imagine it'll be totally fine.
Yeah, I've sparred with that guy a ton, so he's more than ready, and I know he's putting in the work. If Roy's putting him in the ring, that means he's putting in the time and effort too. So it's a good match though for both of them.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just actually sparring with him the other day, and I think I've only had sparred with him maybe once or twice before, but it's good too. He's around my weight, so it's
he fights at 140, 147.
Yeah. So he's a little closer to my weight, and he's looking really sharp. It's cool, and I'm just super excited for him to fight.
Yeah, it's on April 16th, correct?
Yes, and I think that's at Commerce Casino. Yeah.
So Brian's fighting on that too. Brian Almontes from Ventura,
the
Ventura Academy. Yeah. So he just came up. Yeah, from yesterday when you were watching sparring, yelling at your husband.
Yes.
Put your stance.
Yeah, when I was do not go to Southpaw, whatever you do.
What are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. So I heard a rumor about something about Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. So because I'm technically on the USA team, that means I get to compete in the IFMA World Championships in end of May in Abu Dhabi. I kind of wasn't sure if that's also was kind of part of it, but then Desiree Brandt reached out to me last week. Yeah, last weekend was all right, if you're gonna go, let us know. So I'm trying to work out all my details of being in LA to train and all that with my work and whatnot. But yeah, Abu Dhabi, and then after that World Games, so it's gonna be crazy.
Sweet. So what you're saying is, if there's anybody listening out there that would be interested in sponsoring a potential, this is World Games that you're going into also. So World Games, for people out there that don't understand, it's you have the Southeast Asian Games, you have the World Games, and the Pan American Games. And if a sport is in all three of those, they can get basically rallied to be into the Olympics. So it's the predecessor to the Olympic Games. So if anybody out there wants to support a local athlete going into the World Games, reach out to Erin. You can message us if you need to. We can put you in touch and stuff too. But definitely, if any kind of sponsorship, I know I saw Coach Vic put together a sponsorship package. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's going to be a couple ways to sponsor. There's sponsoring the TBI team. There's also sponsoring me and Vic directly. But yeah, we're trying to work out what those details look like. Okay. Abu Dhabi is not cheap to fly to.
No. I'm gonna pull this shit up right now. I want to just see what that looks like.
It's literally, it's $1,000 flight.
So when is your what's the dates?
It's May 25th or 26th. Technically, started the tournament till June 4th.
Abu Dhabi. This you said from
May 25th.
May 25th to it's red on that day until the 4th. April?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
4th of June. Sorry.
Was it? So, wait. Okay. April, May. I was looking at March.
Oh.
April, May 25th to the 4th of June. Okay. So, I'm just looking up randomly right here. I just want to see what it is. The first one's $12,000.
Oh God. Yeah, it's not cheap.
No. Or okay, so now I see Lufthansa. Just so you know, I would highly recommend flying Lufthansa if you can. It's a great airline.
Yeah.
But it's 15.
Yeah,
it's anybody out there, it's $1,500.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
So sponsorship is greatly appreciated.
Yeah. It's like at this level, people don't realize it's really pay to play, and a lot of these countries too, they're fundraising, doing the same stuff we are. Some countries do get government money, but for the most part, it is all self-funded for everybody that goes to these things too.
Yeah, it is. So thank you for the shout out.
Of course.
Again, if anyone's interested in sponsoring, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's Erin, ERIN .graceless, GRACELESS.
Cool.
That is not my last name. That is Grace is my middle name. People tend to confuse with that.
So I'll make sure to put a link to your Instagram in the show notes. Sorry, not on the Instagram. A link to your Instagram in the show notes for the podcast. So if anybody's out there listening, go check out the show notes. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the various platforms we're on, go check that out too. So you're going into this tournament coming up, Abu Dhabi. Sounds like it's a for sure thing.
Yeah, that's the plan. Is to get there and do it. Yeah.
Sweet. That's I'm freaking stoked for you. So going into like training, so I'm assuming training for that's kind of starting next week?
Yeah, we're kind of, so the way like Vic tends us to have fight camps run is actually just like the majority is like the 6 weeks leading up to it is when it's more intense. So but like right now I'm still like
just training.
I'm training every day in the morning, at night. It's just, at a slightly lower intensity and more just focused on technique, but and trying to and I'll be up in Santa Barbara for the next couple weeks, going down to LA every Saturday basically to train with them, and then pretty much in April most of April and most of May.
Camp mode?
Yeah, fight camp mode down in LA. Yeah. Nice.
So do you work from home then for your job?
So that's the thing is we were working from home, so I was able to like all February go train in LA preparing for the qualifiers. And then like literally the Tuesday after the qualifiers we had to technically come back to office for like 3 days out of the week. So I'm trying to work something out with my work right now where I can be remote for a few months. They're luckily very understanding and flexible, of like, they understand like, hey, this is both of these things are once in a lifetime opportunities for me. Like I'm coming up on 30 this year. So it's like, I only got a few more years of fighting before. So, trying to work that out.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, if they're smart, they'll work it out. They're lucky to have you. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we tune out here?
No, just thank you so much for like always allowing me to come and train with everyone and always being super supportive of like my success and helping out whenever you can. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, like I said, and I told you your chance of winning that tournament was pretty darn good. So
yeah, I did not believe you when you said it, but I believe you now.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Erin. You have a great night, okay?
Thank you. You too.
All right, that's it today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are listening on iTunes, please go leave a review. It means the world to me if you enjoy the content, or if you like hearing about all the stuff that has to do with Muay Thai and what we're doing.